The noise, yeah, the mess we make. Machine Pun Kelly, get caught in the fray. Facts and logic with a twist of chest. Strip it down to truth, yeah, forget the rest. Humor blows the lies right out of the park. Look beyond the shadows that set the dark. Sparks of laughter fire up the night, bringing clarity where they blur the fight. Cut through the chaos, yeah, the tangled lies. Fun Kelly with the center clear eyes. Truths and jokes gonna rock this show. Step into light where the real facts glow. Step into
Hello, and welcome to the Pun Show. I hope you are having a splendid and magnificent day, unless you're Donald Trump, in which case I hope you're having a miserable day. So, and you know, you can take that personally, Donald, because I mean it 100% and entirely personal. I don't like you. You're a bad person, Donald. Anyway, we got a chat here. Is that a chat or is that just a... Yeah, Harry. How you doing? Thank you. Oh, hey, Brett. How you doing? Good to see you. Harry, I saw your comment later on the Gini index, and the Gini index is what I was trying to think of yesterday. And I actually have a chart that I'll show in a couple of minutes here that I went and I drew up because I think it's really interesting. I don't think a lot of people know what the Gini index is. And I just could not think of the words, so thank you for that. But I'm just going to go ahead and start things off by saying I'm going to do the show a little bit differently today. I have some things planned, but we know things tend to get run away with. So we're going to do an AMA today. And just anything political that you want to discuss about. We had the guy on yesterday, which I'm sure Brett, who has watched several episodes of the Pun Show, would get a kick out of it, that I don't want to talk about immigration, apparently, because, you know, this show never discusses immigration. But yeah, if you want to talk about immigration, we'll talk about immigration. You want to talk about the Lincoln Reflecting Pool, we'll talk about that. If you want to talk about the Iran War, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about whatever you want. Just tell me what you want to talk about, and we will discuss that. You can agree with me, you can disagree with me, and you can partly agree with me. It doesn't matter. This is an equal opportunity show. Man, my neck is getting like I'm getting a skinny neck. I'm down to 149. I was at 225 when I was at my fattest. So that's pretty good. I'm pretty happy about that. 18.4% body fat, in case you care. So first, I'll just go ahead and start talking a little bit about what the Gini index. And I put together this chart with a little help from my good buddy ChatGPT. And the Gini index, what it is it's a measurement of wealth inequality, like the distribution of wealth in a country. So the wealth inequality is like how much of the money is distributed among the wealthy and the poor, and how big is the gap. And generally speaking, the bigger the Gini, the worse you're off. That means that, you've got like the haves that have too much and the have-nots don't have enough. But sometimes it's like you can oversimplify that. Like if you're a poorer country, you might have the Gini index might not be that big, but there might just be because there's just no rich people at all. Like, maybe the entire country is impoverished. So what I did is I took, and this is a scatter a scatter chart showing both the Gini index and the median wealth. So the further to the right you are, the wealthier the country is. And the further to the top you are, the greater the Gini index is. And so I found it really interesting. You only have 3 countries in the top right: the United States, the United Kingdom, and Argentina. And Argentina and the UK, they're closer to the middle than the US is. Of the wealthy countries in the world, only, are even, I don't know exactly how to call it, but if you look over to the left, you'll see there's Chile and Mexico are the only 2 countries in this chart that are worse than the United States. And you can see we're actually probably closer to Mexico than, say, like Japan. And Japan is a country you think of as having like some pretty stretched out wealth inequality. But we are, of the wealthy nations, we are the wealthiest. Like, we're the furthest to the right, and only 2 countries have a greater Gini index than us. And this is from before the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, which will make things even more unequal. So, and I just think that's worth discussing if anybody wants to chime in on that. I think that there is this kind of sort of a false talking point. Like, either you have to be for capitalism or everybody gets the exact same slice of pie. And I think that there needs to be, like, there's room for something in between those things to where children can eat. And like, you can still have wealthy people, but maybe not a trillionaire. While people are, if we weren't cutting SNAP benefits for children, I probably wouldn't care as much about Elon Musk being a trillionaire and doing the cutting. But, that is like Elon Musk coming and stealing the pie from the poor kid and then letting it rot. There's a problem with that. Like, there's a problem with our country being the wealthiest nation in the history of the world and cutting SNAP benefits for children, which I don't know if you've seen this, but there's a report now that just came out that shows that about, 48% of the people that lost their SNAP benefits are children. And food, like children being able to eat, to me, kind of more important than Elon Musk having a different crooked number in his checking account or his savings account or whatever, or however much stocks he has. People like get so weird about Elon Musk and they defend him no matter what. Almost as bad as Trump supporters. Some people are weird. Anyway, any thoughts you have on this chart that I made would be welcome. I think it's interesting. I think it shows there's so much wealth inequality in America that we're closer, in that regard, we're closer to a third world nation than the Nordic countries. And I'm not saying we have to be exactly the same. I'm just saying there's room for, some movement to where poor people, like children, can eat food. Okay, so then let's go through. I got some comments here about other stuff. So let me go through these. Brett says, someone I know keeps saying TDS. I was quiet for a long time. I said this. Whoops. Okay, we're going to skip over you for a second here and come back. The MAGA senator who wrote a bill to make TDS, a mental illness, resigned from his position after he was charged over soliciting a minor for prostitution. His name is Justin Eichhorn. Well, that says a lot, doesn't it? It's so weird the way they say that we have TDS. Like, I don't want to say they have TDS. I mean, actually, TDS originally started as, like Trump derangement syndrome originally meant you're going to, worship Trump no matter what. And then they kind of stole it. And you have TDS. So I'm tired of the whole I'm made of rubber, you're made of glue thing. But look, Donald Trump tried to overthrow the country. Donald Trump said, that, there were very fine people on both sides. And I've seen all the rhetoric around how he didn't really, say that. But he really said those words. And he really said it in the context of Charlotte. Like he does this thing where he'll talk out of both sides of his mouth, kind of like with the, do it peacefully thing. But when he said there's very fine people on both sides, he meant that white supremacists are very fine people. So don't get me wrong. I know what he said. I know what you said he said. I know what the fact check says he says. I even know what Snopes said he said. But what he meant is that they're white supremacists are okay. And then if you really go and you look at the context of what he said, when he was saying very fine people on both sides, he was referring to the left also having very fine people. But when he talks and the way he rambles and talks in circles, like to sit there and go, well, technically, if you listen to what he said, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, technically, if you listen to what he said, he's a babbling, incoherent fool. All right. So he did that. He the whole January 6th thing, cutting funding for virtually everything except rich people while he gives taxes, starting wars, kidnapping foreign leaders. It's like there are so many things. There's like just hundreds of things, stealing classified documents, including nuclear secrets, things that he can't declassify. Like legally, even the president can't declassify nuclear secrets, and stealing documents is illegal, whether you classified them or declassified them. They get into so many just stupid things. Russia collusion. Yes, Russia interfered and Donald Trump was happy to participate. Get over it. Stop pretending like just because you can make excuses, those excuses are valid. Donald Trump is a convicted felon. Donald Trump is an adjudicated rapist. Donald Trump said that it's okay to grab women by the pussy if you're, if you're a celebrity. He bragged about about sexual assault. He does one thing after another every single day. Now he's sitting there going on and on about how, Antifa or vandals or whatever hate him so much that they cut a 300-foot gash in the tubing in the Lincoln Memorial. Completely made up. There's zero evidence of that. Oh, there's pictures. It's just the lawyers, have to decide if we can show them. No, they don't, Donald. Everything you say is a lie. Just like you couldn't turn over your tax returns. Donald Trump is a liar. Donald Trump is a racist. Donald Trump is possibly a pedophile. I won't say he is one. There's a very good chance he was besties with Epstein for the entire time that Epstein was running his little kitty rape empire. So don't tell me, oh, well, he decided to cut ties with Jeff Epstein. No, he didn't. We know that from the Epstein files. He communicated with Epstein after he was convicted. Stop telling me stupid stuff. Learn something. Anyway, Donald Trump. Anybody that still supports Donald Trump has a mental condition. I don't know what it is. I'm not going to diagnose it. I'm not but there's something about just the the way that they refuse to listen to actual reality. Whatever the disease is, stop saying I have it. Anyway, sorry, Brett. Went off on a tangent. The MAGA sentence. So yeah, and this is just, the guy that was sitting there going on about how he's going to make TDS an official thing, raped kids. Income inequality is a terrible metric for anything other than envy. What do you mean by that? Why is it about envy with you? Why is it terrible? Income inequality is terrible. I'm not saying everybody needs to have the exact same slice of pie. I'm saying children shouldn't have their pie taken away by trillionaires. And if you have a problem with that, then you have that weirdo Trump derangement syndrome. There is a reasonable school of the poorest income to richest income. Broadband. Trump is a genius. I used to be able to carry $100 of groceries in a bag. Now I can carry $200 of groceries in a bag. I like that one. I saw one where it was like somebody was like, man, before Trump, I could only fit $150 worth of gas in my car or whatever. And the USSS system, Social Security, in comparison to any other developed nation, we are terrible. Our Social Security system is terrible. And they want to cut it. They want to make it worse. Republicans, they want to make it worse. They want to make it so that you have to work longer before you can retire. And then when you retire, have less money to live off of. And if they had their way, they would just, if you get sick too bad, before the ACA, the number one cause of bankruptcy among the elderly was bankruptcy, or was medical bills. And I think we're getting back in that neighborhood too. They don't care. Elon Musk has $1 trillion worth of stocks, and but he's living off of scraps apparently, because he's to them it's all unrealized wealth. Kids shouldn't get free chips and soda. I agree. So did Michelle Obama. She got ostracized for that. But honestly, if you're more concerned about a kid getting free chips and soda than you are about, why Elon Musk has paid he's gotten $38 billion from the government. He's paid about $16 billion in taxes. And the thing you're going to complain about is the theoretical possibility that a kid might have gotten a free potato chip. Where are your priorities in life, man? Why not? You want kids to eat healthier? Okay, let's make school lunches healthier. Let's make SNAP benefits so that people can afford fresh produce. You're not saying that because you're actually worried about what kids are eating. You're just saying that as an argument against SNAP, not an argument to improve it. I think a lot of people would agree that, yes, it would be great if we improve SNAP so that children could eat better. But you want to just take it away so they don't eat at all, Broad. I don't support Trump. I just think you guys supporting SNAP for junk. Who said anything about junk food other than you? You're the only one that's talking about junk food. You're the one that's trying to make SNAP benefits all about, nobody ever bought healthy food with SNAP benefits. Grow up, said the little child. In all seriousness, every grocery store has double up food bucks for SNAP recipients if they buy vegetables and produce. I did not know that. That's cool. I mean, you're not going to find many people that are more of an advocate for eating healthy than I am. I mill my own wheat to make my own bread. I don't even use flour to make my bread. I mill my flour to make bread. I am very much an advocate for eating healthier food. But healthier food can also be a lot more expensive. And it's, it can take time and stuff. And so if you're asking mom to work two full-time jobs and then come home and, like make dinner from scratch, well, maybe there's an issue. Brad, you don't care about children and what they're eating. You just care about whether or not they're getting SNAP benefits, and you would prefer they didn't. And you're using that as an excuse. There's advertisements everywhere for every dollar. That is awesome. Every dollar they spend up to $20, they can get $40 per purchase. That's pretty cool. I like that. I think we should have more of that. I think that if you look at what Mamdani is doing in New York, I think we need more of that. It's actually really smart what he's doing. He is kind of like making a city Costco type situation, to where the city is buying food from local farmers, fresh produce from local farmers, and then selling that. And it's because it's a nonprofit thing, they're able to sell it for less money than like the major grocery stores. If you're worried about children eating healthier, how about you come up with solutions better than take away their SNAP benefits under this kind of silly assumption that all these poor people do is go and buy chips and soda with it. There's no evidence of that. And I think some states, I think it's not even, I don't even know if you can buy chips and soda with SNAP benefits. I thought there was a restriction on junk food. But honestly, if that's that's the thing that offends you, and not that Elon Musk isn't paying taxes while he's cutting funding for things for poor people, the thing that's going to bother you is a child eating a potato chip. These chatters know a lot about SNAP, LOL. I don't know what that's supposed to mean. You don't have to know a lot. I mean, yeah, it's not like somebody sitting there going with this. And anyway, this is what they do. They insult people that know what they're talking about. You don't have to know a lot. You just have to get out of your house and see the advertisements. Richard, I can see you are a troll. Why don't you just go somewhere else? By the way, Brett is a moderator, so I'd listen to him. Brett can make sure you go somewhere else. I think part of the SNAP issue is if your parents work, you need a ride to the grocery, but can probably walk to it. Yeah, I think there is a lot of people that are on SNAP benefits don't even have cars. They're in public transportation. And in places like New York City, there's not like a grocery store on every corner. It's for some people, there's like the corner stores. I forget what they're called there. They call them something. Anyway, they don't have like full-fledged grocery stores within walking distance. I think that's what Chris is getting at. And if you live in like rural area and you don't have a car, then forget it. MAGA knows Trump lies every day, but rather than admit it, they brainwash themselves into thinking the reaction to his lies is the problem. Right. So if you don't believe that there is this this gash that he made up in the tubing, which is like a weird lie. Like, does he think somebody went in there with some sort of, saber or something and just like gouged this 300-foot cut right through the tubing with all the, police and National Guard standing around and not noticing? It's like, it's not even a believable lie. It's a dumb thing to lie about. Like, I don't know what gash he's talking about. I don't know if he made it up. I don't know if there was no gash at all. But if there is a straight 300-foot line, I would guess it's probably more to do with something to do with installation. Like it was, like you don't get that from a knife, and you're not gonna, like 300. That's a whole football field. So somebody's sitting there cutting along 300 feet, and everybody's just like not noticing. Come on. Hey, Skippy. How you doing? 0 arrests still. Yeah, I think there's a few people that were arrested for misdemeanors, but these misdemeanors are like the canoe guy. He was arrested for touching the stuff that was already floating around. How do you, do they understand how the space-time continuum works? Magus. I see Starmer resigned. Yeah, Starmer resigned. And Donald Trump was nice enough to announce him for him. Did you catch that? He announced it before Starmer did. Because Donald Trump is Donald Trump. And that's the kind of thing. Like that Trump jumping the gun on it, that's just another reason that our allies are not going to want to continue to share information with us, because Donald Trump can't be trusted. For any new people to the channel, Kelly is a big fan of Donald Trump. Absolutely loves the guy. He's like the greatest president ever. I can't do it with a straight face. Yeah, he did resign. Do you like, what do you think of that? Well, I do not follow UK politics as closely as you follow American politics. It sounded like he was involved in some kind of controversy or something. I should look it up, but Melanie loves Trump. Trump doesn't love you. I don't envy any billionaires. I don't think, I don't know. I don't know what envy comes from. I don't envy billionaires. I despise them. For the I mean, especially the ones like Trump. I don't want to be like him. I don't wish I could be him. I wish people like Elon Musk could be more humane. I don't want to. Why would I envy him? Because he's rich? Well, I have a soul. There's a I think maybe it was Kurt Vonnegut. Can't remember. But there's this story. There was a reasonably successful writer that had, made some money. And they were wealthy, but not like grossly wealthy. Like they were to the point in life that they didn't really have to worry about money. And so he was at this function with like a Rockefeller or somebody. I don't know who it was. I don't remember the details of the story. But anyway, he was there with somebody that was really, really rich. And you know who it was? It was the one guy. Oh, anyway. Johnny Depp played him in a movie. That helps. It was a really good movie. But anyway, they were sitting there, talking about how much money he had and he could buy whatever he wanted and blah, blah, blah. And so the writer, whoever it was, said, I have one thing that he can never have. And the person says, what is that? All right, maybe it was the rich guy that was telling him this. Anyway, I have one thing you'll never have. And the guy says, what is that? And the writer says, enough. How much is enough? Like, when is enough for Elon? The man has like no philanthropic record. All he does is accumulate just grotesque wealth. I'm not jealous of that. I don't wish that could be me. I don't have any desire to like be a glutton for money. The former mayor of Manchester and Burnham is probably going to be the next prime minister. There was something on the John Oliver show about they were trying to get this guy. Is he the one that they're trying to like shoehorn into the parliament. Like he's not even from there or something. Anyway, trying to remember the details. But I think that's the guy. I think in Burnham is they're trying to get him there. But he's not, like, technically he has to be a member of parliament in order to be prime minister. But right now he's not a member of parliament. So they're trying to get him into parliament. Do I remember that right, Harry? Is that the guy I'm talking about? Or that at least Britain has morals. Yeah. At least Britain prosecutes their pedophiles. Not even a financial fine in America. Michael Jackson stole $25 million of Social Security from my grandma's estate. I have no idea what that is. Michael Jackson, I don't, okay, I guess. I don't you're talking about the dead singer, Michael Jackson? I don't understand that. Why do people care so much about some poverty-stricken person getting free chips and soda when there's a billionaire right under their nose stealing from them? Right. Like that, you know, that bag of potato chips, that's why you can't be happy. A poor kid got some free potato chips. I don't know what that address. I hope you're not. Was that your address? I don't want any, like, let's not have, I don't know. Just hope that's not somebody else's address because I don't want anybody doxxed. Can't learn hungry. Exactly. An argument against SNAP. They don't really. It's like when they say things like, oh, you know, you've got, you know, military soldiers that are risking their lives for their country, and, you know, they're only making this much money, and you want to raise the minimum wage. And it's like, when are you advocating for military people to be, you know, get pay raises outside of this, or school teachers, or whatever convenient thing? And so they never actually, you know, like, they're not advocating for school teachers to have more pay. They're using school children or school teachers not having enough pay as an excuse to make sure nobody else gets enough pay. You are a old man. Okay, it's an old man. All right, A-N. The next sound is a vowel sound, then it's an. And I'm 58. I don't know if that makes me old or not, but I'm not sure how my age is relevant to anything, Wyatt. Could everything in the world be a nonprofit? Nobody's asking everything in the world to be a nonprofit. At least I'm not. Like I said, I don't know how many times I got to say this. I am not saying everybody needs an equal slice of the pie. I'm just saying everybody should be able to have pie. Like, when you have some people living off of pie crumbs while Elon Musk steals the rest of their pie, that's what I have an issue with. America is a country that is wealthy enough that there is zero reason that we can't have every man, woman, and child able to, like, have housing, healthcare, and food. There's no reason we can't have that, and education. And honestly, if we had that, we would probably be better as a nation and even wealthier as a nation. When children don't have food, when they go hungry, they're not as able to do well in school. If they're not as able to do well in school, when they become adults, they will not be as educated. They won't have the same future. Like, feeding our kids is actually feeding our future. Wyatt and my cat smells its poops. And my my cat smells its poop. What's your point? Yes, exactly. Like, why don't losing SNAP benefits motivates people to actually. Okay, so the 48% of people that are losing their SNAP benefits that are children, they're supposed to work, you're supporting child labor. You don't seem to understand how SNAP works, Golf Man. You don't know what you're talking about, but here you are talking anyway. All right. First of all, most people that, like a lot of people that are on SNAP, are working. You have people, you go to Walmart, they actually show their employees how to apply for SNAP rather than giving them a pay raise. The question here is, why aren't they getting paid enough that they don't need SNAP? Not why are they too lazy? Like, there's this crazy, insane notion that people like you have, that there are these people that are just, sitting at home collecting SNAP benefits rather than get a job, and they're just living off of SNAP. You have no idea what you're talking about, dude. First of all, SNAP is nowhere near enough to live off of for food. It's only meant to supplement your food. It's not meant to be your entire diet. And here's the thing. In case you didn't know, which I'm going to assume you don't know because you're saying this kind of nonsense. Here's how they establish the poverty level. The poverty level is what determines whether or not you're on SNAP. And what determines the poverty level is actually a crazy story. Back in like 62, 63, when they first came out with it, and they're trying to establish, then it was food stamps. Bill Clinton changed it to SNAP. Long story, but back in the day, when they first decided we need to figure out what the poverty line is. So at the time, the average American household spent about 30% of its income on food. And so this lady that worked for the government was given this job of figuring out what the poverty level is. So she said, okay, let's see how much a poor person needs to eat. So she went to the grocery store, literally went to the grocery store, put actual food in an actual shopping cart, determining what is the minimum somebody needs to eat in a week. And she decided that, 2 servings of meat a week, and then, there's beans and stuff like that. And she actually had them ring up what that grocery cart is, and, documented what was in it. Then she used that figure to prorate how much a week, how much a month, how much a year. Then she tripled that. So that's how we get the poverty line. It's 3 times what a super poor cart of groceries would have gotten you in 1963, but adjusted for inflation. They still use that same basic method of a cheap grocery cart times 3. The problem with that is back when she did this, the average person spent 30% of their money on food. But with inflation, everything doesn't go up at the same rate. Now you've got phone bills are more expensive. You've got, and if you want to have somebody work for a living, they kind of need a phone. So phones are more expensive. Transportation is more expensive. Housing is way more expensive. When you just take food, housing, and healthcare, the average American spends over 85% of their money on those 3 things. That's not including transportation or anything else, electricity, utilities, all of that kind of stuff. So there's other ways of measuring income, and where actually the poverty level is about half of what it should be. Over half of American households do not make enough money to actually pay all their bills. So yeah, losing SNAP benefits isn't going to motivate anybody to do anything, Golf Man. Harry says, that's the stupidest comment I've ever seen in my life. And there's been some stupid comments on this show. It's always not by me, by people like that. It's always a surplus of food. They throw away so much good food. Exactly. I mean, like I've just used this as an analogy. Say there's an island, right? And there's 50 people on the island. And one person owns all the trees that grow apples. All the apples are his apples. And he lets people eat the apples as long as they come and they pick them for him. And he sits there and he just hoards all the apples, and he lets like each family have an apple a day. And so they're like barely living off of enough food, and they have to work for it. He doesn't do anything, and he sits there and just gorges himself on apples and throws away the ones that he doesn't eat rather than give them to the food. That's basically what Elon Musk is doing. And you can sit there and say, well, they're his apples. He can do with what he wants. But is it moral? Is it moral to throw away food while people are starving? Is it moral to just gather excess while other people go without? He has $1.1 trillion, and I know there's unrealized wealth and stuff. I also know that he's not like living off of, I know he's not cash poor. There's something called buy, borrow, die. When it's like you buy stocks, you live off, you borrow against your stocks, and then you die, and you never have to pay taxes. You never sell the stocks so that you have to pay taxes and realize the wealth and pay the tax. The gaslighting from people like you is amazing. Okay, how am I gaslighting? What am I saying? They come on and they just say stuff like, oh, you're gaslighting. Okay, how? What am I saying that's gaslighting? Please, if I am wrong about something, go ahead and correct me. But just calling reality gaslighting while you follow Donald Trump, the all-time greatest. Donald Trump is the biggest liar ever. There's over 35,000 documented lies from him, and that was just in his first term. He's gotten worse. Golfman, being a troll on YouTube is not a job. Go get one yourself. Oh, here comes the everyone who... Okay. Hey, Glitch, go ahead and have an honest conversation. Go ahead and tell me something that's actually you'd like to discuss. This is my AMA show where we can discuss any topic that you want, but it's got to be based in reality. When you come on and you just call me a gaslighter and don't actually engage in anything substantive, you are showing yourself to be a troll. Not because you don't agree, but because you are trolling. See, Brett is pathetic. Mods are more pathetic than streamers. See, that's trolling. You get called out for being a troll, and then you behave like a troll because somebody called you a troll. Many states, you're not even allowed to buy sugar products with SNAP. Snap. He corrected his spelling on the next one. Go back. See, now he's just back to more insults. Go ahead, Glitch. Tell me what you think the truth is. What is wrong with what I am saying? Go back to having to go to the courthouse and get food from Good Pantry. No one goes hungry. Do you think that nobody got hungry before food snaps? Do you think that people just went to the pantry and got free food? Where does that food come from? From people like you who don't care about people. No. The poverty, that's just, read a history book, Glitch. There were dead people using SNAP cards Probably. No, there weren't. There are people that have SNAP cards that died. There are people that voted that died. Sometimes people die, just that's the way life is. If you look at the number of people that were using SNAP, dead people that were on SNAP, there's a certain percentage of people that, number of people that die every day, right? And some of them are going to be on SNAP and some of them aren't. And when you figure out, like the percentage of people that die, and and then they kind of purge it like every 3 to 6 months, it's consistent with just what you would expect to see with, like just people on SNAP dying. But I know you believe everything Fox News tells you. Stupid people SNAP doesn't make you immortal, but SNAP doesn't make you immortal. Stupid people have been trained to worship billionaires and ignore it. The subliminal messaging is working. It's and I find it ironic because the people that are the most aggressive about arguing for obscene wealth are Christians. They claim to be Christians. And that is literally the worship of mammon. It is a satanic philosophy that Jesus Christ, the actual Jesus Christ, said you cannot worship God and mammon both. He said that mammon is from the devil. And if you worship mammon, you're worshiping the devil. The real Satan worshipers are the ones that defend Donald Trump and Elon Musk and the excessive billionaires who, in obscene wealth. Stupid people have been trained to worship billionaires and ignore it. Yes, you're right. They worship the billionaires instead of God and ignore it. The subliminal messaging is working. Bodegas, that's that's the word I was looking for. He worries about a fake lake more than real people. I don't know about what is the fake lake? This guy is speaking truth. Thanks, sir. Appreciate that. He appointed Peter Mendelsohn ambassador to the United States after it was widely. Oh, that's what he did. Oh, yeah. Well, maybe that's why. I mean, who's got better inroads to the Trump administration than a fellow Epstein class? That's maybe not something to joke about, but anyway, apologies if that's offensive. Of course, he made up gash on the pull. There's no video. There's no evidence at all. Just an accusation from an old man who lies all the time. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Fool me 35,000 times, I must be a Trump supporter. Ezekiel, what does Ezekiel 23:19 through 21 say? Let me look that up. All right, it says, if you do warn the wicked person and they do not turn from their wickedness or from their evil ways, die for their sin, but you will have saved yourself. Again, when a righteous person turns from their righteousness and does evil, and I put a stumbling block before them, they will die. Since you did not warn them, they will die for their sin. The righteous things that person did will not be remembered, and I will hold you accountable for their blood. But if you do warn the righteous person not to sin and they do not sin, they will surely live because they took warning, and you will have saved yourself. I don't know who you're. Oh, is that? That's the wrong verses. It's Luke 23. All right. Sorry. Yet she became more and more promiscuous as she received the days of her youth when she was a prostitute in Egypt. These lusted after lovers. I don't. Who are you? Who are you? I don't understand why you're putting these verses. Uh-oh. Okay. DC authorities. Sorry. Having some issues here. DC authorities seek public assistance locating fast-moving ninja with samurai sword. That's it. The Ninja Antifa. It's then come out when the files were semi-released that Peter Mendelsohn had continued his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein after he was a convicted child sex offender. On top of that, Stormer's own party described him because he is basic a blue man in a red jacket. For context, our version of the Democrat Party is red, and our version of so he was like the equivalent of a Dino. People always talk about, this person was continued to be friends with Epstein after. Like I have more trouble with people that were carrying on with Epstein before the conviction, while he was running his empire. Not that I think that makes it okay afterwards, but I think that there's probably more reason to believe they might be involved in, the whole children thing if they were hanging out with him while he was doing it, kind of like Donald Trump did. Donald Trump was his buddy. I think there's like 16 phone numbers Epstein had for Donald Trump in his, including like Melania's valet or something, or Melania's chauffeur. Now they want to appoint someone called Andy Burnham. Okay, that is that the guy I was thinking of? Anyway. Modi is eroding the institution of India Election Commission, Supreme Court to remain as Prime Minister at any cost. We are not democratic as European. What we should do as public. So Debbie, is that it? So you're in India? Interesting. We haven't had any discussion of India politics. The situation was that Andy Burnham was the mayor of Manchester, which means he wasn't able to challenge care for the leadership because he wasn't an MP. Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. You are the biggest, best brain in the whole brain world. You are the biggest, best. I don't know what the hell that means. I don't think he's being serious. So an MP from the constituency of Gordon and Denton resigned so that Andy could get a seat after he won by election, and the National Executive Committee of the Labour Party blocked it. So is the Labour Party like the Liberal Party in UK? I mean, I think your Conservative Party is probably more liberal than our Liberal Party, but okay, yeah, spamming gets you blocked here, Sir John. Where is our Doge checks? Yeah, I never got my Doge check. I never got my tariff refund either. So then after another series of screw-ups, another MP resigned. He applied to be candidate for their constituency, and the National Executive refused to block Andy Burnham second time. So now he is MP. He is an MP. Keir Starmer has seen that the road is up and resigned with whatever dignity he has left. So did you was Starmer okay except for the like appointing the pedophile? I wish Donald Trump would resign. Yeah, I think Oh, did you already block him, Brett? I just got rid of that guy. Uh-oh. Did I? Okay, I think I'm still going. Hang on, I might have, things might get weird. Okay, that's just this. Whew. All right. Oh, I lost all my chats. Oh, there we go. Okay. Had to reload the chat thing. Did you okay. Wow. Okay, so no, I'm glad Elon Musk is a trillionaire. He earned it. Did he? I think it's funny. All of a few people sitting around crying. Yeah, that's like a completely, like, I don't know. Did he? Like, do you think other people don't work? If somebody's working for a living, do they earn a living? So Trump is the most cognitive, least dementia having, not low IQ person in his administration. It's all right. Yeah. I think I missed there was, anyway, I got rid of one dude and I totally messed up my comments. So I'm just jumping in. Sorry, if I missed your comment, don't take it personally. That's funny. Is not just me saying it. Trump is saying it. The lion, donkey, and giraffe of the Mensa test says it. It says that he doesn't have dementia. Why we created and allow the immoral greed, I will never understand. We should do true communism, not like Stalin, Marx, or Lenin, but a community. 18 billionth share for everyone, one vote for each. Yeah, I don't know if I agree with that, but I do think that, like, everybody, like, should have enough, especially in a society where we have enough for everybody to have enough. By enough, I mean just be able to survive. We shouldn't have people choosing between food and healthcare. Non-political guy here that pays close attention. Trump only opens his mouth boastfully to lie or for damage control because he's an actor like all the presidents. Mainstream politics is scripted and totally actor-based. Do you think so? Who's writing the scripts? Do you think you were overreacted last night? Overreacted about what? What do you mean, do I think I overreacted? Like, you're talking about me? Overreacted to what? How did I overreact? I don't think I overreacted to anything. What are your thoughts on an African American man being the world's first trillionaire? I know he is a migrant from South Africa, but that's not really what people mean when they say African American. And I don't know. I don't know what's the point of a comment like that. Brother, talk about only human nature. And I don't think that we should have trillionaires, period. Brother, talk only human nature and culture. Don't talk religion. Well, I'm talking about a religion that they say they adhere to. Hello from the UK. Hey, got another UK along with Harry. Harry, you got your countryman here. Trump is an amazing example of why incompetence, ignorance, and narcissistic ineptitude combined with coordination that rivals a spastic in a tumble dryer should never be president. Kind of like Bill and Hillary Clinton. I don't know what Bill and Hillary Clinton have to do with this. So happy we don't have a woman president. Yeah. We've got inflation going up, unemployment going up. We're at a war. We're like funding Iranian proxy terrorist groups. But at least a black woman isn't president. MAGA don't have an opinion anymore. That's true. And it's like you can tell this because their opinion will change based on what he'll like just decide, this is the guy that ran on No New Wars. He's like, no new wars, no new wars. And then he starts a war, and they're all like, no new wars, no new wars. As soon as he starts a war, they start, defending it. Like they don't, whatever he said yesterday doesn't need to apply today to them. He could say tomorrow, no new wars, and they'll just pretend Iran never happened. We've had a woman president before. I don't know what that's supposed to mean. I thought we had one right now. He's pretty emotional. He posts like a schoolgirl on Truth Social constantly. Ouch. That's good. Can you make more mouth noises, please? Did you assume his gender? Did I assume whose gender? By the way, you assumed his gender when you asked me, did I assume his gender? I assumed he identified as a male, even though his genetics proves he is a cheeseburger. His blood type is ketchup. Suicidal empathy will be the death of. What is suicidal empathy? We had a female president or prime minister, and she was amazing. Jacinda Ardern was amazing. Okay. That's, man, where? Oh, so now we've got New Zealand coming on here. Oh, yeah, I know who you're talking about. Actually, I liked her. I saw some interviews with her. I should have figured it was with a name like Kiwi Derek. New Zealand is definitely on my bucket list of countries I want to go. It looks so beautiful over there. I think, if I remember right, the Tolkien movies were filmed there. Our right parties our far right parties like Reform, UK, all support the National Health Service and other social safety nets. Like I've thought about this. Like if Joe Biden were to run for, somebody were to run for prime minister, using Joe Biden's politics, you'd be talking about probably the largest increase in defense spending in the nation's history, or in a very long time, taking away national universities, taking away national health care. Like, it would be a huge shift to the right. And in America, they called him a left-wing extremist. A cheeseburger is one of the most American things. Why do you hate America? I think Donald Trump's blood type is actually ketchup. Jesus is king and Jesus loves you. Okay, thank you. Just as sort of curious as why are you commenting that on this channel? Like, I don't think that you're gonna get people to go, oh yeah. You think people are gonna get saved because they read your comment? I think you probably turn more people away from the Lord by doing that. Indian politics is far worse than UK politics, according to me. Here, economic collapse is waiting, and nepotism is also too much here in BJP rule country. You should try Brazil. They're equivalent to their Speaker of the House had his wife killed, and they found her body in the trunk of a car like 20 years ago. Like, you get insane stuff. Can I get blocked? It's only weird if you make it weird. Okay. Griff says, can I get blocked? I tend not to block people unless they deserve it. And one of the big things is if they just keep, spamming. Did I get blocked? Not yet. You can. Hold on. Trump is a genius, says Weebles. Okay. If you think Trump is a genius, then that says a lot more about you than him. Kiwi isn't she the nice one who was so the Kiwi is the New Zealand guy. Isn't she the nice one who was like known for always being happy and called one of the opposition members an arrogant prick? You talk about Australia, New Zealand. Those people are so direct. I mean, like everybody I've met from either country, it was just, I love them. Did you hear the song that the Australians sang to Donald Trump during the World Cup when the U.S. played Australia? That was hilarious. Trump is so smart, he's running Hitler back. Trump, actually, did you hear about this? Trump talked about, there was this historian that said he is the most powerful man in the history of the world. And he was like all, gushy about it. Turns out the historian was, who was it? Can't remember which golfer. It was like he was a caddy. Wasn't even a real historian. And, other people were like people like Hitler and Mussolini and not I don't think Mussolini would, like Hitler, Napoleon, Genghis Khan. Donald Trump didn't really seem to think anything that a lot of those other, like all the people on his list were like incredibly immoral. Jacinda is fantastic and such a cool person. The interviews I saw with her, I really liked her. She's smart too, right? Like, and she's articulate. Like she's got a way of saying things that makes them clear. In India, one businessman having $100 billion, whereas average village is 3,000 US dollar per month. See the difference, far worse than any part of the world. Yeah, that's what I was talking about with the Gini index. India, you guys got a lot of people over there. I hope Father Time calls Trump for a long conversation. I mean, I don't like wish for anybody to die. Yes, that would be good. But he's had his time on this planet. She was the one in charge for the Christchurch massacre. If I'm not mistaken, she was on the rest. Politics is politics. Seemed like a nice person. What do you mean she was? Oh, so she was in charge when the Christchurch massacre happened. Yeah. I don't get into like making the head of state like responsible for everything bad that happens while they're head of state, unless they're the reason that the thing happened. Like gas prices going up because Donald Trump decided to invade Iran. 2 inches to the right. Y'all are going to get me in trouble. In India, one businessman having $100 billion, where his average wage is $2,700. Yes. All right, I'm going to skip over the anti-Semitic remarks. Anti-Semitism is not tolerated here. I'm not saying you have to endorse Israel or anything like that, but just straight anti-Semitism, that's your warning. You keep going in that direction, and you will be banned. American people, slaves from billionaires. He was referring to Edith Wilson, who was effectively president for 2 years after President Thomas Woodrow Wilson had a stroke. This is interesting. I'll have to look into that. I seem to remember that, but that's interesting. I wonder what would have happened if we had the 25th Amendment then. So, hey, by the way, I'm doing this new series, and maybe I'll get there on this. I'm doing a new series on the good, bad, and ugly of every single president. So yesterday I posted the good on George Washington. Today, after the podcast is over, I'll do the bad and then the ugly. Bad is policy stuff that, good is policy stuff that went well. Bad is policy stuff that went bad. And ugly is like character flaws and stuff like that, like Bill Clinton and Monica Lewinsky, for instance, where it's like not, part of their presidential record, but is related. In India, one businessman having 100, okay. Respect the people will respect. I will respect everybody. But if they're like disrespectful, then I'm not going to, you're saying respect the people, peoples will respect you. No, people respect me. If treat me with respect, I'll treat them with respect. But when people come on and just sit there and accuse me of lying and gaslighting and not even saying how, if I'm getting something wrong, go ahead, tell me what I got wrong and how. But no, MAGA trolls being MAGA trolls, they don't have any intention to be respectful. Harry can't even understand my name is spelt with A, not E. Mussolini had a really interesting idea on how the economy should be wrong. He never implemented it because he effectively run the country government top down. But his actual theory, how he writes it, is quite interesting and is implemented properly, might be quite good. Mussolini thought that corporations and the government should kind of work together to decide things. So like, the gas companies should decide energy policy, for instance. Sound like anybody, It's like when people sit there and they act like, like when they're, oh, how is Donald Trump a fascist? Well, like at its core, he's a fascist. That's, at least Mussolini fascism, the guy that invented the word, would agree with a lot of things Trump is doing, almost everything. He would be 100% MAGA. So I guess he would have been like MIGA. What's with all the English flags on an American live stream? I thought Americans, your President Trump doesn't like us. Yeah. I think that at least with Harry, he knows more about American politics than a lot of us. Mussolini said that for any product, the relevant government minister, all the companies that produce said product are imported, and all of the trade unions representing the workers. I'm sorry, Harry. I can't figure out what you're trying to say. Looks like it might be one of those text-to-speech things that didn't work out well. Sorry. Corruption in both parties will lead to the destruction. Okay, I think that it's fair to say that there's corruption in both parties. Bob Menendez was corrupt. Bob Menendez was prosecuted. I think he's in jail now. The senator from New Jersey, the Democratic senator. I think there are corrupt people in both parties, but I don't think that means both parties are corrupt or that both parties are equally corrupt. And I wouldn't say Republicans are corrupt. I wouldn't say Democrats are corrupt. I would say there are Democrats who are corrupt, and I would say there are Republicans who are corrupt. I think that there are people that like want to just poison the well and just say all politics is bad. And everybody in politics is bad. Therefore, might as well just let Trump run things. I don't agree with that. I think that what that means, if we don't like politics, like corruption in politics, then we should vote out the corruption. Should get together, decide how much to produce. Yes, import, decide how much the workers should get paid. Yeah, exactly. Like Mussolini thought that the relevant industry and the government should work together to make decisions for the people, including moral decisions, by the way. So like things like transgender people are bad and homosexuality is wrong and those types of things. Those are things that the government should decide for people, because people cannot decide for themselves whether or not it's okay to be gay. So again, who does that sound like? If implemented properly and not dominated by the government, which is how he ran it, which violates his own idea, but that's what he did. I think we could go. I don't think so. I don't want the oil industry deciding the politics for oil or for energy, because they're going to make it so that everything favors them. I think that industries need to be regulated. I don't think that they need to be the ones doing the regulating. I had to pay $154 tariff for a 3,000 watt motor from a mainland China because of this orange prick. Last year, it was free shipping. Wow. What was the motor for? And America doesn't make them. No, not just the government and companies, the government, companies, and trade unions. Trade unions are involved, because the idea was that every worker would be in a union. Well, that would definitely make things better. But you'd still the industries would be after would advocate for themselves, for their own industry. So like the oil industry would want to advocate for the oil industry. And then what about clean energy? He wants everything to be American made. Exactly. And like not everything can be. I remember like when the tariffs, of course, now the coffee tariff isn't there. And you'd point out to people that, like we're not really able to grow coffee here. And then people would be like, well, they have some in California and Hawaii. Yeah. It's like $40 a pound. And there's barely it's only like 1% of the coffee we have. Like, you can't sustain the US, like the entire demand for coffee with what we grow here. Bro, I've been dating an AI girl over a year. Is that bad? Yes. The industry would advocate for themselves, and then the government would regulate what they want to do, and trade unions would stand up for its workers. They all work, balance each other out is the idea. It's just they never ran it the way, so it didn't work. That's interesting. Kind of like with Marxism, like true communism has never happened. The topic today, opinion. Can I call you Opie? Today, the topic is it's an AMA. Whatever you want to talk about, just go ahead and tell me you want to talk about it. And if I need to look something up, I'll look it up. But this is, it's kind of open agenda today. We have been talking about, we talked about SNAP. We talked about ridiculous wealth. We're talking a little bit about fascism and Mussolini and what Mussolini wanted. So anyway, true communism is literally the impossible in the modern world. Yeah. I think at the bottom line, there's always going to be corruption. You can never evade corruption because there's just corruption is a part of humanity. It's just trying to find a way to where you can vet out as much as possible. I've thought about trying to figure out something myself, like, and I'll use this as a metaphor. When we were growing up, I had two brothers, and whenever we had something that needed to be divided three ways, my mom had a way of doing it to where, like, let's say there was a pie, and the one of us would make the first cut, the other one would make the second cut, and the third person would get the first choice of pie. So it'd be cut in three ways. But the person who made the last cut, or the person that didn't do it and cut, would, like where, shouldn't say a pie, like a Twinkie, like where it's like long. And then the person that, so we would be really, really careful and try to get it in exact thirds, because the person who made the first cut would get the last piece of Twinkie. The person who made the last cut would get the first piece of Twinkie. So if you made it all unequal, then you got the raw end. So anyway, we had pretty evenly divided Twinkies. And I think about that. I try to think about if there is a way to work that out into an economy, to where the people that make the laws actually have to make things even in order for them, like they get the last Twinkie. I don't know how you would do it, but I like the idea of trying to figure out some kind of economics that way. Harry says, what's the thing they're all fail to understand is 80% of the workforce is unionized, and therefore companies can't abuse workers, so you don't need government regulation? Well, in America, we solved that by getting rid of unions, basically. I think one thing the Democrats need to do is go back to being the party of unions, try to re-strengthen unions. I think it's not a coincidence that we've had a continual, wealth disparity has been on the rise ever since Ronald Reagan, because Ronald Reagan gutted unions and we never fought back. And then you got all the right to work laws, which were actually right to not get paid for your work. Oh yeah, Brett says, we talked about the stupid poll that has more attention than Americans without healthcare, food money, and gas and housing. This is true. I mean, I find it so ironic that it's just such a perfect metaphor. Donald Trump hired his buddies and turned the Washington Monument into a swamp, a literal swamp. It smells like a swamp. It looks like a swamp. It's a swamp. He didn't drain the swamp. He created the swamp, which is just like everything else to do with his presidency. He's just the swamp master. The what is that? The creature from the Black Lagoon or whatever. Like he is the swampiest swamp monster in the history of swamps. I like Bezimov's take on it. What was that? I don't know what Besimov's take on what is. What Besimov's take on what? Many universities have secret societies built behind the idea. Skull and Bones. There were two divisions in my childhood: brotherly, one big piece and a small one, and equally. And that, I mean, like, I think that's just, if there was a way to do the economy like that, I think that would solve a lot of problems. If people that decided how things were distributed got the last choice, that would be a big difference. Fake story. I don't know what I don't know what the story is fake. I think it's sad they are putting E15 in gasoline here in America. It's falsely holding the price low, but you burn through it twice as fast and it destroys your car engine. I did not know about that. I have an electric car, so the whole gas prices going up thing doesn't affect me. I hope people start buying more electric cars. It also fools MAGA because they are so stupid. It's not. I mean, you know how easy it is to fool a MAGA? They still believe things Donald Trump says. That's actually a pretty good joke. Unions are corrupt and outdated. Are they? How are they corrupt and outdated? That seems to be, that's just like, unions are corruptible. That does not mean all unions are corrupt. Nor does it mean they're outdated. That's actually one of my main criticisms of religion. Wouldn't it be neat if good works saved others? Instead, it's a bunch of scarred zealots desperately trying to save their own bottom. I mean, at the heart, that's what Christianity is supposed to be. I like what James Tallarico said. James Tallarico said, can you imagine how much better the world would be if all these people who claim to be Christians took Jesus' command to heart and actually loved their enemies? It's a true fact that Trump stated that the historians said he's the greatest. He is the greatest grifter and con man. He didn't say the great. I mean, to be clear, I know where you're going, and I agree with you. But he actually, it was the most powerful. Like the guy didn't say Hitler was great. He said he was powerful, and Donald Trump was the most powerful. With all the tech, people shouldn't need representatives. People should be able to represent themselves directly. Okay, I don't. How would that work? What does that mean? The problem is not that people, like, that's not what I don't even understand the argument you're trying to make. The whole point of unions is collective bargaining. Isolated bargaining is not good. I'll tell you a story, all right? I was working for Accenture, and we got, people, they would say, oh, you're not supposed to, discuss with people how much you get paid. Because they would go through these subcontractors, and they would, they would pay the subcontractors. I think it was starting off at, they would pay like $30 an hour. They would say pay $30 an hour. Some of the subcontractors were hiring people for like $22 an hour and then pocketing that other $8 in addition to what they made. They were like doing wage theft. So we started talking to each other, and we found out. And then once you got brought on to Accenture, like you would be there for a short time, you would work for your subcontractor. Then Accenture would hire you full time. Once Accenture hired you full time, you got the same pay rate as your subcontractor was paying you. So if you were making $22 for your subcontractor, Accenture brought you on, you'd still be making $22. And then your pay raises would be based on what you were making. So you'd have two people that would do the exact same job, and making different, for the exact same time frame. I started on the same day as two other people, and we were making this, like different amounts of money. We started talking about it, we figured out what was going on. So then we joined together, and we said, no, wait, all, the pay should be standardized by position. And so about, like, most of us got pay raises out of that. And we ended up getting them to get rid of the whole, subcontractor thing, because there were just too many people doing wage theft. And we ended up unionizing. We got better health care. We got better, more vacation pay. We got more money because we were collective. They couldn't, like, fire the whole team. And they were making lots of money off of us. So if we just went one at a time and said, oh, this is not fair, then it wouldn't have had the same impact. The swamp battle is epic. Very popular topic in Russia. Swamp Thing, that's the movie. That is Donald Trump's new name, Swamp Thing. Bezimov's take on Marxism. What was Bezimov's takes on Marxism? By the way, who is Bezimov? Wouldn't it be, I don't even know who Bezimov is. Wouldn't it be possible to create a universal union in America? No, I don't think so. Because it's too, different vocations are going to have different needs. And different protection, need different protection. Like right now, writers need protection from IA. Like, I can write something and they can just basically steal my work without paying me for it. But a trucker is not going to have that, like, they're not going to steal his truck. But he's going to need to be compensated when Donald Trump starts a war and the price of diesel goes through the roof. So it's like different unions need to advocate for different things, and sometimes those things might be in conflict with other unions. I watched The Good on Washington. I look forward to the rest. Thanks. I'm glad you watched it. I'm glad you liked it. I think it'll be really interesting. And like with this whole series, my goal is not just to it's not to teach. I'm not trying to pretend I know everything about every president in history. I just started thinking I don't. I don't, and because Donald Trump will always say he's the greatest president ever. These MAGAs will say he's the greatest president ever. I'm just okay, who's 23rd? Who's 37th? How can you know he's the greatest president in history if you don't actually know what other presidents have done? I have a Nissan Leaf. The problem with electric cars is Elon is fascist. I have a Nissan Leaf. It was actually the very first car I bought brand new. And I love it. The very first thing I did when I got my new car is I got in, I started it up, and I turned over a new leaf. That's why I call it the Punch Show. I think it should become another power struggle. I think it would become yeah, but at least the struggle would be between people that are struggling. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. American conservative Christians are the least Christ-like people ever. Jesus would be a socialist hippie today. They even accuse him of if you point out, that he would be like a left-wing hippie today, then they get mad at you. Does Kitty come here anymore? She does. I forgot to DM her today and let her know that I was doing a show. No, Kitty was on here last week. And this is my fault, Brett, because I just disappeared for a while. I have a story. My auntie was being paid below minimum wage. Everyone told her to contact a union. After one stern letter from a union, she was paid her full actual salary. There you go. Like unions work. Unions work. About subcontracting in the Netherlands, they have the Uitzendbureaus. I don't know. They are. I don't know how. I probably destroyed that pronunciation. They are a hub for contractors, paying contractors peanuts and pocketing the difference, just as you said. It's just, oh, it was so terrible. It was so terrible what they would do. It was like, so without going, like, I got promoted a few times and I ended up becoming the trainer for the whole team. It was about 200 people on the team. And I would, along with somebody else, we trained every single person. It was actually kind of complicated. So it was like about a 30-day program. You go through the training and I would get to know like everybody that was there, because I, would get to know them, working with them day in, day out for 30 days. And I gave them my little TED talk on their first day, and I'd ask them, I'd tell them, look, okay, so this is like, we paid general writers $32 an hour. Senior writers were paid $37 an hour. The team leads got $45 an hour. I was making $52 an hour, and then team leads were making $55 an hour, something like that. And so I would ask them, I would tell them, this is what you're supposed to make. If your subcontractor is not paying you this, tell this person, and they will make sure that that gets corrected. And if that doesn't get corrected, let us know, and we will put them. We had a ban list of subcontractors that they couldn't work with anymore for a few reasons. Here's like another thing they do. All right, so before that, I worked with this other woman named Samantha at a different job that was kind of doing the same thing, but without going into a bunch of stuff. We were writing help center articles for Google, but they had Accenture decided came up with a plan to. It used to be that all the different what's the word I'm looking for? Segments of Google, like YouTube and YouTube TV and games or whatever. Everybody had their own little team of writers. Accenture said, okay, we're going to make the writers, we're going to consolidate them all so that we can have like uniformity between different help centers and stuff like that. And Google thought that was a good idea. So we got laid off of that position and then hired in the new position with a different company. In the old position, Samantha was my boss. She was my lead. And so then, when I was getting recruited for the new position by the subcontractor, they said, anybody that would be qualified? And I was like, yes. And I told them my lead. And they knew she was my boss, and so was therefore more qualified than me for the job. But they immediately offered her less money than they offered me. Guess why? You might have a good idea when people talk about women get paid less than men. So anyway, we made sure that that was on our banned list, because they were, like gender discrimination. They had a pattern of that. My granddad was actually the shop steward for the factory in my town and was shop steward for about 15 years. Shop steward is not a thing we have. Oh, is that like the head of the union or something? Shop steward. Is that shop steward or is it shop steward? Republicans want to suppress people's right to unionize. Yes. All those right to work laws are nonsense. Thank you, John. And the Republicans, they were all about the right to work for less money, right to work for less benefits, right to work for, with fewer days off, right to work without a union. you could have a national union of miners or national union of truck drivers, but you couldn't have a umbrella union for everybody. Yeah. And I mean, you like the Teamsters. You do have like there is a national union for writers in the United States that, it's not part of the government, but there is a writers type union. They will steal truckers' jobs with self-driving trucks. Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, at some point that's probably true. They just want billionaires. They just want to replace everybody's job. I saw this advertisement. Get this AI and you'll never have to pay an employee again. This AI does all the work for you. And that's what I mean when we have made excess a noble thing. And if you don't have that, and you just want to be able to get medicine for your kids or food, then you just need to pull yourselves up by your bootstraps like Elon Musk did. And Elon Musk's dad, I don't know if it was blood diamonds or some kind of nonsense. Drop in the ocean, though. Kelly, he is orange and best friend with a child sex trafficker and convicted in a civil court of sexual assault and brags of committing sexual assault. What other president had those? Just amazing accomplishments. Just amazing. Yuri Bezmov's 1984 warning in a nutshell. The KGB's ultimate weapon wasn't spying, but a 4-stage psychological hack called ideological subversion. Over 20 years, they brainwashed a generation to reject logic and traditional values, demoralization, trigger severe societal and economic chaos, destabilization, crisis, and then slide in a socialist dictatorship to fix it, normalization. The most chilling part, the native activists who helped speak the revolution are always the first one eliminated. This is, except for that last part, well, maybe even in some ways that last part, but it seems like what the Republicans have been doing over the last 40 years. It's definitely, MAGAs reject anything like reality. I was just told he got his 56 billion back, but I don't know if he ever paid anything. What do you who is he here? Are you talking about Trump? Trump never had 56 billion. Are you talking about Elon? Oh, I see. Yeah. Head of the union, that specific workplace, and then is regional bosses, and then national bosses, and then loads of others who all govern our trade union. It's amazing how you have trade unions and national healthcare and stuff like that. Almost like there might be some relationship between those things. SpaceX recently went public on the stock market, and its shares just plummeted, wiping a record $350 billion off his personal net worth. And you know what? It made zero impact on his life. If you can afford to lose $350 billion and it's just a different number is your net worth, then you have too much money. I'm the perfect argument for socialism. Mr. Wonderful. Oh, I like that. I like your name, Mr. Wonderful. So I guess your name is Juan. Anyway, takes Juan to know Juan. But I think this is the first time I remember seeing you on the show, or at least comment. So hello, welcome to the show. By the way, if this is your first time, don't forget to click like and subscribe. I'm the perfect argument for socialism. My family is absurdly wealthy. Never had to worry about health care, vacation every couple of months, kids have great education, retirement taken care of. Everyone should have those benefits, not just because my dad had one good idea. I couldn't imagine the stress of middle America, and people shouldn't be okay with that. It's only obvious from the outside. It's like, especially in the wealthiest nation in the history of the planet, we should not be worrying about whether or not kids got free potato chips so that Elon Musk can lose $350 billion in a day and not even bat an eye. I have no problem with the wealth tax. I really, but then he'll have to sell something. No, first of all, he won't have to sell something. He can always borrow against it. That's how he gets all his other cash. But secondly, people have to sell stuff to pay for their income tax all the time. People have to sell their houses to pay their taxes. The IRS puts tax liens on people. They garnish wages. But somehow Elon Musk having to pay actual cash on unrealized wealth, that's where you draw the line? Most people say they get a job and don't have one. Most people that say get a job. Oh, yeah. It's funny how people that sit there and go, that sit around and watch YouTube streams all day complain about people that do the YouTube streams not having jobs. Some trade unions get on my nerves, though, like the British Medical Association, which received a 22% pay raise in 2024, then another 5%, then another 6%. And they are now they are back on strike, waiting 33%. What you need to do, Harry, is join that British Medical Association somehow. It's just a total joke. They cannot seriously be demanding that amount of money at a time when the public finances are stretched thin and people can't afford to live. Yeah, I agree. I voted for Biden 9 times. I don't. Socialist scumbag. Socialist bleep bleep. I'm not a socialist. I'm guessing you're not either. But anyway. So we're actually caught up on the comments now. So I am going to, yesterday there was a lot of confusion over
the Lincoln Memorial reflect.
There was a lot of confusion over Obama. Under Obama, there was some work on the reflecting pool. And I've seen a lot of MAGAs try to conflate that with what's going on with Trump right now. So looked into it some more, and I created this video. I'll go ahead and play this just to kind of talk about why that is misleading. So,
the Lincoln Memorial Reflecting Pool, dedicated in 1923, spans 2,030 feet between the Lincoln Memorial and Washington Monument. Built on unstable filled marshland without sufficient pilings, it gradually sank nearly a foot, developing cracks, leaks, losing hundreds of thousands of gallons weekly, and chronic algae from stagnant water. Early patches, like a 1980s concrete overlay, added weight and worsened issues. In 2010 to 2012, under President Obama, the National Park Service undertook a major $34 to $35 million reconstruction funded by the Economic Stimulus Package. Using competitive bidding, the project, led by firms like Corman Construction, installed over 2,000 pilings for stability, rebuilt the base with concrete, added paved paths, and switched the water supply from potable city drinking water, which had been wasting millions of gallons annually due to leaks and evaporation, to circulated tidal basin water fed by the Potomac with ozone filtration. It reopened in August 2012. While it addressed sinking and reduced some water waste, leaks and algae persisted over time. In 2026, under President Trump, the administration pursued a quicker resurfacing ahead of the nation's 250th anniversary. Costs rose from an initial approximately $1.8 million estimate to $14 to $15 million. Unlike the prior competitive process, this involved no-bid contracts to firms, including Atlantic Industrial Coatings, with ties to Trump's personal swimming pool network, justified by urgency. Work included sealing joints, sandblasting, and applying an American flag blue coating, plus filtration upgrades. The pool refilled in June, but soon saw algae blooms and peeling material, prompting further repairs and debates over execution. Key differences: Obama's was a competitive bid, comprehensive structural overhaul emphasizing engineering and sustainability, including cutting wasteful use of drinking water. Trump's prioritized speed and aesthetics via non-competitive awards to connected contractors. Both encountered recurring algae and leak challenges inherent to the site's design. The pool remains an iconic, if imperfect, symbol of reflection on America's past and present.
So that, oh, whoops, hang on. So that's that. And I hope that clarifies things. It's apples and oranges. But I think the most important thing is that Obama would require, like, he actually like got bids, congressional approval, and stuff like that. The other thing, there was some guy named Todd, I think, that was on here insisting that Obama had a $350 million basketball court installed. And that's actually a conflation of two things. I just want to clarify this in case, somebody tells you this. And so what happened is, when Bush was president, Congress approved $365 million in White House improvements and modernization. And, there was a lot of work done on the White House while Obama was president, but it was, approved before he became president by Congress and had nothing to do with him being president. And the basketball court was something separate. That was not part of that $365 million. That was something he just modified a tennis court, and that was privately funded. That wasn't even taxpayer money. So in case you hear something about that, that's what all that's about. Okay, so, oh wow, so okay. Going back to the comments here, but good on Health Secretary for shutting that poop down point blank. Enforced equality destroys the incentive to work hard by rewarding. Yeah, but nobody's talking about enforced equality. I mean, this, like I said before, opinion. I don't believe in an exact, everybody deserves the exact same piece of pie. I think that everybody deserves enough pie. If somebody works hard and makes more of their life, then that's great. And I'm not saying everybody needs to be equal. I'm just saying everybody needs to have enough. I mean, and I think this is the problem that happens, is some people cannot get beyond the false dichotomy of absolute capitalism or absolute socialism. I think that what happens is we need to just have a flowing economy where The wealthy are taxed. That money goes to the poor. So then the poor have more money. And money always evolves up. Money flows up, and it just keeps the entire economy flowing. I think that children need to eat. I don't think children eating means that Elon Musk can't be wealthy. But maybe Elon Musk only has $100 billion instead of $1 trillion. Like, it doesn't mean that we have to have absolute equality. Do you see what I'm saying? How can we have a society where there is a more equitable distribution of income, not a perfect distribution of income, but a more equitable distribution of income, to where you don't have some people living in excess wealth while other people live in abject poverty? It's not about enforced equality. It's about everyone having the right to the basic standard of living, right? Like the minimum. Food, housing, shelter. Well, food, housing and shelter is the same. Food, housing, and healthcare, education. Just very basic necessities. Utilities. Tax the rich. My whole circle is that, Cass, and trust me, they can all afford more tax. They can afford more tax better than poor people can, like with Donald Trump's tariffs. Let's go back to what made America great. 90% top bracket. Yes, we actually were our best economic years were when we had 90%. And the deficit wasn't going crazy. You want to know? Go and look at the actual history of our tax code. You know what dries the deficit up more than anything? It's not giving money to poor people. It's cutting taxes for rich people. Every time we cut taxes for rich people, the debt explodes again. The deficit gets bigger. It's like, you always see Republicans try to compare it to household economics. This is like you're struggling to pay your bills. And so you go to your boss and you say, I'm really having a hard time paying my bills. Can you pay me less money? Like, reduced revenue is the same thing as reduced income. You're not going to pay off your bills by, having less in revenue. Obama-Biden derangement syndrome is the oldest derangement syndrome. And remember, Brett, Obama is that good of a fraud. He wasn't even born in this. Yes, he managed to be born. And I mean, you got to give him credit, because not every infant has the capacity to make sure that they have a birth announcement published in a paper in another country, and so that they can run for president, 40, 50 years later. I mean, that's a baby genius right there. Absent daddy disorder, ADD. I think maybe both Donald and Donald Jr. have that, and Eric. I've been thinking about, it'd be a fun movie is like Dumb and Dumber, except it's spelled D-U-M and D-U-M-M-E-R. And, about Eric and Donald Trump. Because apparently MAGA just learned how to spell dumb. Harry, I hate to see my tax, 120,000 pounds a year, going to my wife's unemployed sister. That's 34-year-old and didn't work a day, sitting on social and giving birth every other year. Oh, that's 120,000 euros a year. Hey, it's Let's Mow the Lawn Together. Hi, how you doing, buddy? Nice video summary. Thank you. I'm glad you liked it. I'm going to be doing a few more of these I think they're a nice way to, kind of break things up, and also gives me a little restroom break. Capitalism needs to be governed by very strict ethical foundations. Right. I think capitalism, we need capitalism, we need profit incentive, we need, motivation. But if that, like right now, what you've got is it's so out of reach that it's actually counterproductive. You have people that aren't motivated, that are like, oh man, sorry. I was looking for something and I can't find, oh, there it is. So you have people that are so frustrated, they don't even want to try. It's like you work, then you get laid off and replaced by AI. Like that's not profit motive. I mean, we need enough regulation that you still have an incentive to work, but not so much regulation that you don't have incentive to work. Like success, yeah, the brass ring has to be able to be grabbed for people to reach for it. I get if you just hand people the brass ring, nobody's going to reach for it. But if it's out of reach, nobody's going to reach for it. And all I'm saying, make the brass ring something attainable. Without ethics over capital, it becomes a safe interface for predators. Yeah. It's sad that people equate genius with billionaires. Right. Mike Lindell made all this money. That man is as dumb as one of his pillows. They were just lucky. Elon is not, Elon is not truly smart. He was just rich by that paid other people to invent stuff. There's a couple of things. One is somebody was like, said something like, I didn't know anything about cars. So hang on, I gotta grab something here. Somebody was like, I don't know anything about cars, but I just assumed Elon Musk knew about cars because he was making all this money from cars. And then I, don't know about rocket science, but I just assumed he knew what he was talking about when it came to rocket science because he was making all this money about rocket science, or off of SpaceX. Said then he started getting into computer engineering, and I'm a computer engineer, and the man is an idiot. The other thing I think of this a lot. I think there is a difference between a smart person and a genius. Is a smart I don't think that Elon Musk is actually an idiot. I think he's a relatively intelligent person, but I don't think he's a genius. A genius, like an intelligent person, can take something relatively simple and make it sound complicated. A genius can take something complicated and make it sound simple. And I'll give you an example. Richard Feynman. If you've never read his book, I highly, highly recommend it. Like after Einstein, he might be the greatest physicist of the modern era. He was a really smart guy. But he could take really complicated things and break them down to where you understood them. And maybe, sometimes Bill Clinton could do that. Take complicated things and make them simple. I think that's why he was so popular. But Elon Musk takes simple things and makes them sound complicated. He doesn't take complicated things and make them sound simple. Wonderful says, sack up, bro. One anecdotal story isn't an argument to dismantle government programs. That's our job. Pay taxes for a healthy society. There is no wealthy country without it. And it's funny how, it's like every MAGA seems to know somebody that is scamming the system, right? I mean, now sister-in-law can, okay, maybe, but is her husband working? Like, and what do you mean she's like making all of that money? I mean, is she American? I don't know. Yeah, you were talking about being paid in euros, but in the U.S., it's just not possible. If you're a healthy person, you're not living. You're not going your whole life without having to work and just collect, welfare or whatever the whole time. Like it's literally not possible. They have caps on how much you can get, and it's like 6 months every 3 years or something. It's not attainable. The rich don't pay for any of their needs. It's all free for them, not for us. We have to pay to live. They pay for a royal life. Yeah. Like I always say it's expensive to be poor. Do you know what is a scandal though? Kinder eggs are banned in America because of the plastic toy inside. I did not know that. What are Kinder eggs? What are Kinder? Are those? Oh, inside the chocolate shell. Oh, so what happened? People were like choking on the. American kids can be kind of stupid. Oh, I guess so. They're chocolate eggs that have toys inside them. So I can see where somebody might accidentally swallow a toy. It's a calculated systemic consortium, but the principle of least action always has the last say. What goes up? Apparently, what is the principle? What is the principle of last? I can kind of infer from it. Okay. Principle of action, last action is a fundamental rule in physics, stating that a physical system naturally follows the path that minimizes a specific mathematical quantity called action. So, what do you mean by that? I'm interested to hear what you have to say because I like learning things. Apparently, that is too unsafe to become consumed in America. If your 5-year-old child is going to be eating like a Kinder egg and not take the toy out, I think they are slightly stupid. You're overrating Americans if you assume that, anyway. We have Donald Trump won the election. If you want to know how stupid Americans can get, just think about that. We have warning labels that exist for a reason, and usually the reason is somebody was too stupid to figure it out on their own. And so then a company lost a lawsuit because somebody didn't know that they shouldn't, climb up a 40-foot ladder and put the feet on ice. Like I literally saw a warning label on a ladder saying, don't put this on slippery things like ice. Like, yeah, you would think that somebody would be able to figure that out on their own. No, that's adults doing that. 5-year-old kid sees chocolate, tries to eat it whole. And haggis is banned in the U.S. because apparently sheep lungs are unfit for human consumption. Have they tried American chocolate? It tastes like depression in a bar. Hey, you're going after American Hershey's. It's like an American, what's the word I'm looking at anyway? It's like heresy around here. Hershey. Lots and lots of compromised Americans. Capitalism world best when the people at the top are socially decent and have a greater sense of community. What if big secrets are being hidden? What if all these wars are just to hide objective truth and futile? Well, I mean, I suppose there is a science fiction novel in there somewhere. It's expensive to be poor. Yes, it's expensive to be poor. For example, my cars are paid by the company, which gave us tax credits. Houses paid cash, meaning no loss to interest. Yeah, or if you are poor and you can't afford to buy a house, then you rent. And so then you don't have that rent building equity over time. If you have enough money to buy a house, then you get equity in that house. So then when you're 80 or 70 and you've got like, you can, I've never looked into the reverse mortgage thing. I don't know if it's a scam or not, but like if you don't have kids and stuff and you just want to take out a loan against your house and, live there until you die, you can do that. You basically got your house and your retirement all in one fell swoop. The more wealth you have, the more loopholes to hoard more. Accountant work entity to avoid taxes. Right. And you can like lose money and then use that to not pay taxes when you do make money, like Donald Trump did. I'm in the rooms for those meetings firsthand. It's crazy because logic and reason say it ain't right, but we're being ruled by rationale. What is the difference between rationale and logic to you, brother? Hey, thank you. You had me at computer engineer. The principle of least action. Rich people investing in other people's inventions doesn't make them smart. It makes them wise. It could just make them lucky. I mean, sometimes things just hit, Beanie Babies weren't like some genius invention, but some people made some money off of Beanie Babies. And sometimes, it's not like Tesla invented electric cars either. Rich people rich people investing in other people's inventions doesn't. Okay. All communication, including our subjective reality, is written by one objective author. Is it Stephen King? It's Stephen King, isn't it? It's got to be Stephen King. I kind of, I think it's kind of funny. Like I think about like Stephen King, and Trump's first term ended with The Stand, and his second term is like The Dead Zone. If you haven't seen The Dead Zone, it ends in nuclear war. My favorite idea humanity ever invented was this. What did humanity invent? If a distance, this is getting a little too abstract for me. If a distance can be divided in an infinite number of times, then a human can never walk a distance without it being able to be divided further, and therefore humans can never reach their destination. All right. I need to get stoned for this if you guys are going to be talking like this. It is the most stupid idea that is what an ancient Greek philosopher said. I'm paraphrasing. Or are you talking about the principle of least action thing? It's whatever that. It's even better than that. Nothing ever touches. We perceive the sense of touch, but it's magnetic. Snap your fingers. That's not the sound of your finger hitting your hand. It's a little Sonic. I thought Sonic was the place where you can get hamburgers. Don't you guys have a set of directions on a... Yes, we have instructions. And we have things like don't drink on bleach bottles. Actually, you know what? like the whole, remember Donald Trump didn't say don't drink bleach. He just implied drinking bleach. Did you know poison control, like within 2 hours, like of that press conference, had like a spike in calls because people were like drinking bleach to kill the COVID? Yeah. Americans can be pretty dumb. There are like Americans that literally believe that if it weren't for Donald Trump, Iran would have turned us into a nuclear wasteland by now. The PLA dictates all our patterns, including pi E equals MC squared, fields of all it tracks back through distillation. And epistemic humility is how we can track. No? Dude, you must like, I don't know, like this is like way too abstract for me. Coffee at fast food must say caution hot because some people are just stupid enough to pour it in their mouth. So here's a fun fact for you. I have a friend. Remember the lady that got the really bad coffee burns? I have a friend who's like he actually invented the whole field of studying biothermal stuff, like how biology and thermal things interact. So like temperatures and the human body, how they interact. So like he's done things like he invented a bed that like measures your body temperature and calibrates it so that like the bed will adjust its temperature to your body temperature as you're sleeping to maximize your sleep. He invented air-conditioned shoes for people that work in like these really hot factories, because apparently like most of the heat that leaves your body, your feet is actually the best place to cool off. So if you like you want to cool off, put an ice pack on your feet. But anyway, that lady that had the coffee burns, he was actually the expert witness at her trial. And if you ever want to hear about a 4-hour dissertation on that, then you know, he's the man to talk to. But yeah, he is like, that was McDonald's fault, and it's like, you know, they broke the. She should not know that, you know, the coffee is going to scald her, and you know, like give her 3rd-degree burns on her, you know, woo-ha if she sets it between her legs. So yeah, that's why there's like regulations and stuff about the temperature of coffee. But what happened is McDonald's actually did the testing on it. People wanted to be able to go and get their coffee and go to work and then drink their coffee and have their breakfast at work. But they didn't want the coffee to cool down on the way to work, because then it would be, you know, like not optimal drinking temperature. So they would deliberately make it hotter than was legally allowed. And that's why she got like all burned and everything. But somebody was like, you know, we could get sued over this. So they actually did some research on it, and they speculated this is how much money we will lose in a lawsuit. And this is how much money we will lose in coffee sales if we lower the temperature of the coffee. And they figured out that the temperature, lowering the temperature of the coffee is not, it is more expensive than if they like cause people to like get burned and suffer and stuff. And so that's why the jury ended up giving them the massive award, because they thought it was worth it. And I think that it was actually determined by, this was breakfast sales for one day, you know. But they deliberately made it more expensive. It baffles me that America don't have signs across the country saying, "Warning: Don't forget to breathe, or you may die." Fine print: If you choose not to breathe and suffocate, then you are responsible for your suffocation. Actually, the sign is all plastic bags and the toys come in. Oh, actually, that sign is on all the plastic bags that toys come in. Yes. Yes, right. Truth is stranger than fiction. Who of us has ever experienced reality objectively? We can't. For the parents. So am I really reading this? Are you reading these? Are you writing these comments? These comments that I'm reading from you, are they your comments, or are they written by the great writer that writes everything? Am I talking to the master, or am I talking to you? Rational is part, but some rations. It's taking pieces and making your own picture. Logic is looking at the pieces and reasoning. Okay, so rationale is part, but some rations. It's taking pieces and making your own picture. Logic is looking at the pieces, and reasoning tells us where they go. Rationale is about protecting our position in our tribe. Logic and reason are about objective truth. Sonic Boom. That's what happens after I eat the hamburger from Sonic. Nanosonic boom from magnetic forces clashing. Look it up. I believe what I believe. They are protecting their positive in their tribe. That's all. It's innocent. I don't know. I mean, I see where you're coming from, but I don't think that if you're a rational person, that means you're a sectarian. I mean, you can be I mean, like that would imply that if you're not a sectarian, then you are irrational. In 2000, and I'm not sectarian. I don't think I'm irrational. In 2019, 14.7 million Americans got bleach poisoning within 1 month of Donald Trump saying you should inject bleach to cure COVID. MAGAs are some dumb people. George Carlin once said that just think about how dumb the average person is, and then think half the people are dumber than that. The moment you catch yourself overthinking, feeling anxious, or defending your ego in a chat room, your DMN has hijacked you. Do not argue with the thoughts. What's my DMN? To break this identity trap, you must actively change your relationship with being wrong. I apologize. I'm being preachy. Yeah, I have no idea what you're saying. This is too abstract for me. Darwin needs to make the rounds. People are too bleeping dumb, and the real reason is that they're too bleeping stupid to know it. It's like, apparently you don't have to be that smart to have sex. So you got some dumb people procreating. I know this because I see the Twitter profiles where people are like, "Dad," and it's like, "Oh wow, so you know how to have sex. Good for you." When a task involves defending your ego, the line between DMN and TPN, I don't know what DMN and TPN means, because the task. Great question. You are, I am, we are together. One of the big philosophical questions of ancient Greece was, what is the simplest way you can describe a human? In terms of what distinguishes humans from other animals? I don't know how I would do that. I'd have to think about that. You're a programmer. How do you feel about reality rendering a 2D surface into 3D space? I'm not a programmer. Rendering from a... All right. The wealth of the world should be shared 1/8 billionth for everyone. No, I disagree. And I don't think everybody should own a Mercedes or a Gucci. I just think it's food, shelter, healthcare, education. Like just have the minimum requirements for survival, especially in the wealthiest country in the history of the world. We should not have poverty in America. Plato came up with featherless biped. So Diogenes grabbed a chicken, plucked its feathers. Oh, so featherless biped. So that's what he said humans were. So Diogenes grabbed a chicken, plucked its feathers, and then pretended to walk into Plato's school and pronounce he has a human with him while showing off his chicken. There's a Donald Trump joke in there somewhere. You're great, my friend. I love your sense of humor. Thank you. So does my wife sometimes. Sometimes. We all should work 40 hours and have basic needs covered. Yes. Well, everybody should work 40 hours. They can work 40 hours. Like, some people can't work. And I think that's another issue we have in America, is that we have made... Here's the thing. It is so hard to get disability in America. So you got this kind of catch-22 that happens. In order to get disability, you have to go a year without working. You can't work for a year and get disability. If you worked within the last year, no disability for you. That's like one of the minimum requirements. So you have to go a year without working. But how do you pay for things when you can't work for an entire year? Not that easy to do. So then people go and work even though they have a disability, and then they can't get disability because they're working. If you're a trillionaire, I mean, the fact that's a word. It's sad if you're a trillionaire and there are still starving children anywhere. You are not a leader or a visionary. You're a prick. I think I can say that one. I can attest my parents are idiots. It's our brain function. It is subjective reality, objective awareness, experience that's planned. I kind of get what you're saying there. I heard the baby duck that died in the reflecting pool turned his steering wheel towards the algae first. He just... Are you saying it was self-inflicted injury? But it isn't food, shelter, and education. The wealthy own all the land and steal all the resources. If you work 40 hours a week, you should be able to survive. Rents are insane. Insane, they are. And so is housing prices. And they just want to make it worse and worse. Did you know that the guy that invented Monopoly actually created it to show the evils of capitalism? Have you ever thought about like what that game actually means? You have one guy that ends up with everything and everybody else is penniless and homeless. That's the whole point of the game. Like nobody ever seems to like realize that. They even have like a fake thing, you know, like a fake monopoly to show how stupid communism is. Which, like, I'm not for communism either, but I think they seem to like not realize that the actual real game shows how bad capitalism is. Unregulated capitalism. So, what do the instructions on the shampoo bottle say? You'd have to. They say something like, wash, rinse, repeat. But like I tell you, how much shampoo to use, and you don't have those in England. The baby duck might have just died because of not being able to get out because the water wasn't full. Well, ducks don't need water to leave. They can fly with or without water. I think they were going to figure out how he died. Poor little duck. I was joking. Donald Trump is trying to duck responsibility for the Lincoln Memorial by blaming vandals. Get it? Duck. Yeah, the Parker brothers stole it from the guy that invented it. Then they made a bunch of money on it. I heard the reason vandals were not caught on video were because the cameras. Oh, the cameras are part of the deep state. Oh, it was a baby, can't fly yet. Oh, poor little dude. How'd he get in there? We don't. Wow. You guys like figured out how to use shampoo all by yourselves without having any instructions? The next thing you're going to tell me is you guys don't drink bleach. And like condemn vaccines as. Did you guys hear about the whole flu outbreak at Lackland Air Force Base? So Pete Hegseth decided that we don't need we don't need vaccine mandates anymore in the military. And so anyway, he said, okay, now vaccines are optional. And so like only 40% of people were getting vaccinated. And now there's like this big flu outbreak at Lackland Air Force Base. Almost like vaccines help things and stuff. That's when you talk about dumb, that's dumb. It's like, have you seen some of these things? People are like, well, if you, what was this? Something to do with like socks or something. People have some crazy ideas about how to, anyway. Some people do not realize what that thing inside their skull is for. Apply to wet hair or lather, rinse, repeat. That's what they say. You don't have warning labels on there, not for human consumption. We have a lot of unnecessary labeling in the USA. Well, what happens is somebody will be stupid with something, and then they'll sue, and then the company will lose the lawsuit. And so they're not like, we can't have we don't want to get sued over this again. So they put a label, like don't eat shampoo, don't eat the shampoo. Shampoo is not for human consumption. And so then that's why we have the label. All those stupid labels you see, just think for a second, they were probably there because somebody was stupid enough to not know that. Ducks absolutely need water. What are you talking about? You defend millionaires and are clueless about nature and its needs. Nobody said, I don't think anybody said that ducks don't need water. And it also says that this could be done for 4 cycles. Ducks do, okay. Let's see if, I'm just kind of, there's an obvious thought, and I'm just kind of checking with Chet. Okay, that's, so they mate in the water, but they lay their eggs and nest outside of the water. That's why you never see duck eggs floating around in a lake. All right. Wouldn't that be crazy if you're like, you know, like you're in the lake and all of a sudden you see this like nest of eggs floating by, and then like you see a poor mama duck wondering, where did my nest go? Or maybe the mama duck is sitting on top of the nest. I don't know. No. So the eggs are laid outside of the water, but the mating happens inside the water. If only I could think of a word that rhymes with duck that means mate. Toaster pastries. Labels provide detailed instructions on how to insert the pastry vertically into a toaster. Do you have warning labels on your toasters that not to insert forks? That one's like one of those ones where, you know, like, I'm surprised we don't have warning labels on our toasters that say, you know, not to be used in the bath. Frozen pizzas. Boxes include step-by-step guides on how to remove the plastic bag. Oh, yeah, that's one that I have a bunch of ducks here that would say differently, but do go off. We're still... Says most, so chat says most ducks mate in water, but they usually build their nests and lay eggs on land. A female duck will often nest in grass, reeds, brush, tree cavities, or other sheltered locations near water. A few ducks, such as the tree-nesting wood duck, may nest surprisingly far from the water itself. The ducklings then make a dramatic jump from the nest and follow their mother to a pond or stream. If you're asking, no, it's asking, okay, anyway. Ducks do go to water, or you know, they're aquatic animals, but they're not, they exist in and out of water. Jugs feature warning labels that explicitly tells users not to drink the liquid. America, what a country. Hair dryers. Tags attached to the power cord warn users never to use the appliance while sleeping. Well, that one's fun. What about while showering? They cannot reproduce without a water source. We raised them. All eggs were unfertilized until we provided a wading pool. So anyway, I don't know what this argument about ducks is. I think we are all under the impression that ducks need water. But they also don't solely exist in water. They're not like fish. Apparel tags, clothing labels often feature instructions telling you to wash the garment when it gets dirty. Take out coffee cups. Lids feature a printed warning reminding consumers that hot coffee inside is actually hot. Correct, but they will not mate without a pond. So if you have cage birds, they will lay eggs that will not hatch. So I think that's my understanding. Like they do their business in the water and then she goes and lays an egg somewhere, or lays an egg nest somewhere. For every toaster manual includes a prominent safety section explicitly stating, do not immerse in water or do not use in wet or high humid conditions, such as a bathroom. Brett's got to get going. Have a good night. You too, Brett. And actually, I think it's about time for me to get going too. Duck farmers fighting. Oh, I love YouTube comment sections. It's I think we're all on the same pages. Ducks swim and ducks walk. If it walks like a duck, right? So that means that ducks can exist outside of water too. Anyway, that's good enough for today. We're going to head out. I'll see you guys tomorrow. It's past 6 here. Hope you guys have a good evening. I'll talk to you tomorrow.